Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Anybody would envy the situation that you are experiencing in your country. It is very important. However, first of all, we need to identify the places or the periods of time, the windows where you can see the oversupply and there is a drop in the price. Felipe Silva should also be added. I made a mistake. I skipped him. Felipe Felipe made a presentation this morning, so he wanted to be participating in this discussion now. So, how are we facing the fact that there is an oversupply and the impact it has on the prices? Because at the point in time there was an increase, but this did not translate in prices. So I would like to know how you're tackling this and if you are trying to encourage the growth in these dynamics. As I showed on the last slide, we have some pillars where we should focus. And if I can sum it up, I would say that it should be a comprehensive strategy. By doing just one single thing will not reach the objective. However, we need more investment for the consumption of blueberries. But if we don't have a good quality linked, it will not be possible because if you do promotion, you will be known and they are going to buy your product. But if you are not good in flavor, they will not buy you. So we need to have the promotion, the varietal genetics related to the consumer's experience, and also helping the economy of the entrepreneur. That is to say, something that provides more tonnage per hectare, because there are some companies that say that should have 35 tons per hectare, and the productivity of hectares in Peru is fascinating, and this has been possible thanks to the varieties and the good management as well as the good technology behind. But it should be a comprehensive strategy. These varieties, the new varieties, well, the people who are participating in the world of varieties are well aware of that, but we also want the companies to to produce for in the non-productive months beyond the season. And if we compare the situation, we see that the exports have increased, that some companies are extending their productive season. They are getting out before and they export the produce to the China. Yeah, Peru is exporting year round. September and August, we have 50% of the growth, and Peru will continue to grow in terms of volume, and this growth should be diluted throughout the year. And this growth, once again, because if I take a message away from this, is quality, and now the bar is very high because there is a lot of competitors, and the bar is very high, as I said before, and we need to have this comprehensive strategy. That's why we need to have the shipping companies here to discuss with them. Juan Jose, that was a word you used during your presentation, and you said we should not compete anymore and cooperate more. You said that was a word very used, and that is competition. Competition in Harvard was in fashion at a point in time. One of those words that are in fashion in economy. And this was to encourage the companies that were competing a lot, but they have to share marketplaces and to take good care of that most marketplace. How do you see this care based on a cooperation rather than competing? Well, we see a good opportunity to work jointly, and there are many countries, all those that are producing berries in the world, and the North American market where we put most of the volume. Mexico is putting 97% of the volume, and therefore we should not continue or should continue to increase the consumption, but this cannot be an isolated activity. We should have a concept of quality linked to the physical features, the crunchiness and texture, and it's good that to have here people from the logistics side, because from Mexico sometimes they have to travel 14 or 20 days from Valparaiso, from Callao. We need to work with the importers. They are now participating in the different councils with the High Bush Council, for example, in North America, and we are trying to take care of this concept. We have the concept of berries that is diluted. We cannot increase too much, and sometimes due to competitiveness reasons, this fruit cannot travel. So I insist there is sometimes a moment where we are not competing with each other. If the Chilean and Peruvian companies are in Mexico, is because we need to supply blueberries year round, but the qualities are not still optimum. We need to be more competitive. We need to take care of the farmer. We need to provide them with assistance because they know. But with the technology, the science, we can do a lot. We have to take care of the logistics issues. We have 100 or 110 containers of blueberries traveling to the Netherlands or other countries, but we do not send out more because we don't have containers with controlled atmospheres and so on. And the quality can be improved. So I will stop here. Maybe we can still remain the competition in some markets and we can be complementary in others, as in the case of strawberries in Florida, sorry. I would like to finish by saying that we need to educate the consumer. We go, for example, to Europe and we ask about the different varieties. However, they require to have more cost per production. But we need to meet the requirements by the sustainable development. And we'll continue in the same line of thoughts with Felipe. How long will it take to do the reconversion as Chilean market? Because we need to do the reconversion, we need to improve competitiveness. And during this morning, you show some ways to improve, and this is already being included. And I understand that you are pioneers in this endeavor. And how long does it take?
Varietal renewal is a long-term work, and the growth of Peru is increasing worldwide consumption because they are filling gaps, those weeks and months in which there wasn't enough supply. And Chile started its renewal a few years ago, but not with last generation varieties. But now our renewal must be based in higher chill requirements, those that can be grown from Curicó to the south, because they are the ones that are better adapted to our climate. In Chile, we have been running tests and trials and errors of high level products, both trials and commercial tests, and we have tried with varieties that haven't adapted to the climate. So if we ask how much time we have left, first we need to work on logistics from harvesting to the final destination, choosing the best varieties, pick the best varieties and eliminate those that have fulfilled their cycle, and to continue variety renewal, because we need support from the banking sector and finances, and to rely on the trust of the industry, because banks, they have cut off some of the funding to the industry, and we need that to continue renewal. Do you think the Blueberry Committee is playing a role there? Well, of course, this type of situation and this type of meeting help to really get the word out there, and I think that it shows that if we have a sound strategy, they can be economically viable. Last question, Felipe. There are many producers and exporters who have decided to move to Peru, Mexico, Spain, Morocco, and nowadays we have Chileans making investments elsewhere in the world and trying to increase their position to be providers all year long. So, is this movement also part of the answer? Does it help to better organize the market, having Chileans present in several places around the world? Well, we can see this as a ferocious competition in which everyone wants to replace the Chilean window. Or maybe we can see this as an opportunity for Chile to really join this growth wagon, given the higher supply and the new varieties coming into the market. And this is the invitation, really. We have an important advantage in terms of harvest concentration, high chill varieties, those that have better organoleptic quality, being produced better than those produced in Peru and Mexico, but we need to speed up this renewal. Otherwise, this window will be filled out with by other suppliers to 80 million kilos in the weeks that we have. Well, it's really a tough number to match. But we need to increase consumption, and to do that, we need to give consumers a better experience. And this is only achieved with a good product on the shelves. If we have consumers buying fruit that provide them with a bad experience, they can take up to 6 weeks to try again. And maybe we can lose them for an entire season, because our season today has 8 weeks. The increasing technical aspects involved in production, and to you, Luis Miguel, this is still very much dependent on manual labor and in harvesting and packaging. But this is moving towards a higher level of technology, and also has to do with the higher supplies offered by other countries, Morocco, etc. So, are you afraid of a co- commoditization of this product? Is it something that we want to happen, or is it something that we want to avoid? Juan Jose, well, that's what we should try to avoid, it becoming a commodity. In Mexico, we see that avocado hasn't become a commodity, even though it's growing, as well as mangoes. So that's why we need to increase per capita production or consumption, and to do that, we need investment, and we need to have campaigns talking about the benefits of blueberries. I think that during the pandemic and all the strife that we have gone through, blueberry consumption has increased. If we see sources like the United States, it is in occupies the third place in terms of most consumed fruits. But we don't want it to become a commodity. We need to avoid that. And to do that, once again, I must tell you, how can we make this concept become more important and to increase the interest of consumers for blueberries and have better blueberries to offer them? Well, I think that this is a business based on varieties. Now, for some years now, and I've heard that from a lot of people, that they are now asking for specific varieties in the market. And someone tells me, where can I find tasty blueberries? Because I've noticed that some of them are good, others are not. So this is now a market of varieties. So this is raising the standard. So more than a commodity talk, we should be discussing varieties, because but I don't think that varieties will ensure success. There are several other factors that come into play at the same time. Do you think that consumers are already recognizing varieties? Do they look for that? I think that buyers around the world, yeah, you're talking about importers, right? Yes. And consumers at the retail level, yes, I think so. And consumers, well, once again, the buyers, the importers, they do recognize, and I think that consumers are realizing that there is a wide spectrum of quality in terms of the blueberry. And this is the responsibility that's on us today, because Peru has 50 varieties, we have 100. So we, as a global industry, we must deliver consistently good products to consumers to see the growth rates that we have seen in the last 10 years. Yes, because today these products, they are mostly based on the brand, and we need to protect the brand, and this is done from genetics throughout all the other processes, and consumers, they learn from brands. I don't know if you are stating the varieties in the on the clamshell. I've seen that for blackberries. The black, those that are more acid than sweet, they state what varieties they are. But we don't see that for blueberries. We see the main supermarkets in Europe and the United States and try to ask them what variety that is. They don't know. No, not in the United States, but I think that they do know. I think that there is an increasing awareness regarding variety in terms of importer. In Peru, we have 60 varieties in Peru. And people say, well, I thought there were much less. I have two more questions. I don't know if I have. Yes, I think that we've run out of time. Well, one more question. You mentioned in your presentation, Luis Miguel, sustainability, that we need to strengthen the sustainability guidelines in trying to strengthen our supply. And this has to do with ESG, which is nowadays partially integrated in the industry, having, for example, women as a main part of the workforce, but that's not everything. Do you think that ESG would help to increase blueberry consumption? Yes, in some of the markets, it's an obligation actually. You are giving the buyers more reasons to pick your product. And is that being certified? Yes, in Peru, we have a large number of certifications. And what we try to do is to really promote these best practices. There are many important stories that are not known because it lacks outreach and dissemination. And this is, of course, only a comp, a an additional thing. You can have that a nice story, but if the product doesn't have good quality, it won't serve you as much. What about you, Juan Jose? Yeah, since Anaberry uh, became an association with 16 companies. It began in 2009. Then 2010, we were 16 companies. Now we have more than 40 companies, and the SDGs published by the UN in 2016, together with the Zero Hunger Challenge and the human rights issues, everything came together, and we had already been working on that. However, the challenge was to really standardize food safety practices, because the FESMA law in the United States, they do not ask you for one certificate. They do not ask you for a private certification, but you need to make sure that you have everything in order. And also, we began being more aware of water resources and efficient irrigation, but we do not include in that forest protection policies and underground water replenishment. And we have forgotten to recover the source of water, the sources of water. One other thing is plastic and the clamshells. Through a project together with other companies, U.S. companies and Hortifruit, we began working on 100% washable labels, because clamshells couldn't be recycled otherwise. So we began to do that, and we began also to take care of the plastic chain, because this has a direct effect on the landscapes, and we began working on that sustainability together with labor issues. And today in Mexico and the United States, we either take care of that or we will lose our value. I have 40 companies that require that from me. They say we can bet on selling all of our blueberry to the US, but we have to take care of sustainability.
And we have all the workers who are cooperating in the agricultural activities. We have a lot of work during this season, and this is something that we need to recover. We have to take care of these people and remember that they are a very important support in order to produce blueberries. Well, I would like to thank you, each one of them. We are coming to the end of this panel. I don't know if you have a last message to convey and if you have something still pending. Felipe, Juan Jose, I would like to thank you for listening to us. Thank you very much, Juan Jose, and everyone.